Hey, what is up guys? It's Scion Life back here with another video, and today we're going to be talking about 5 unreliable sports cars. Now, I just want to inform you guys that in this video my goal is to simply just inform you guys. I'm not trying to slander these cars. If you do have one, don't take this to heart. And really just try to stay away from these year models if you can, because they are money pits and will drain your wallets and your bank accounts. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So coming in at number 5 on this list, we have the first batch of the third generation Subaru WRXs and STIs. So this is going to be the 2008 and early 2009 model years. In my opinion, this is honestly the worst WRX and STI that they ever made. They were the softest WRXs that ever came out of the Subaru factory. These engines were terrible. They would often spin rod bearings, even with extremely low miles, and they were just really difficult to maintain. Not to mention, these cars drank oil, and it was just really difficult to keep these engines running correctly. Now, this was also the last model year in which the WRX had less than 265 horsepower, and even though these were really bad, even the earlier models, pre third generation WRX, even had problems. They had what was referred to as glass transmissions, which there are some people that run, really high horsepower setups on 2002s and 2003 WRXs, but the transmissions weren't that great. And, even though that was bad, the 2008 and 2009s are really the ones to watch out for, and it's just because of the engine problems. But probably the worst thing about the 2008 and 2009 Subaru WRXs is that they look like Corollas. And the next car that we're going to be talking about on this list is the BMW 135i from 2007 to 2010 model years. Now, I did put this car in an earlier videos about, cheap beginner sports cars, and they are good cars. They're really fun to drive, and, they have a turbo. I mean, it's fun, but, these turbos really had problems. I touched up on it a little bit in the video I made on this car, but these turbos have a thing called the death rattle, and what happens is the turbo, like the turbine, it'll get kind of loose and it'll start rattling inside of the turbo, and this car will cost thousands to maintain, and it will be an absolute nightmare for as long as you own it. The M54 is one of the worst motors that BMW ever produced, and the 135i subsequently is a very unreliable car. Now, you guys may have seen Hoovie's Garage made a video where he tracked his 135i, and he did have a couple mods to it, but he took a couple laps around the track, and his car blew up, and he had to go get it fixed. So, just try to stay away from the 2007 to 2010 model years, because after that, the 135i got the N55 motor, which was a lot more reliable and was a better engine, but the 2007 to 2010 years were absolute money pits. And next up, we have a car that pops up on every single list video just like this one, but I'm going to touch up on it anyways because it is very deserving of being on this list. And this car is going to be the Maserati Gran Turismo. Now, this car wasn't terrible, but Maserati as a brand is the absolute worst in reliability in the world. Like, it is the worst reliability car brand in the entire world. And these cars had crappy interiors, they didn't drive very well. It's just like an Italian off-brand Jaguar or something. It wasn't as nice, didn't sound as good, wasn't as reliable, wasn't as fast. It's just not as good of a car as anything in its class. And yeah, they're cheap. I did put this car in a video about cheap supercars, but you get what you pay for with this car. You may find them for around 40 to 50 grand, but their reliability is going to suck. They're going to be in the shop almost every 1500 miles. And really the only upside of this car is that it came with a Ferrari V8, but what is the use in having that beautiful V8 and driving the car around if every, few thousand miles or so it's going to be in the shop anyways? It's just going to drain your money. There's no sense in even getting this car in the first place. And coming in at number 2 on this list, we have the Volkswagen Golf 2010 to 2013 model years. Now, this car had a plethora of problems. It is a Volkswagen after all. And let's just start off with, just the major ones. So the high mileage automatic transmissions have shifting problems. Premature headlight bulb burnout and bulb harness failure is very common in these cars. They had a lot of electrical issues. Some were common, some were not. But like I said, it is a Volkswagen, so it is going to have those kinds of, little issues that just bug you. And, a couple more major ones that we have on this list is that the Volkswagen Golf had reverse gear failure, which means you literally could not put the car into reverse in a manual transmission, and a bunch of noise coming from the transmission in most models are very common. And, the last major one I'm really going to touch up on is a subframe clunk on acceleration. The subframe would literally like buck whenever you press on the gas, and it's just, it's awful to drive whenever you have any of these kinds of issues. And, really my only advice for this one is, a Volkswagen will spend more time in the shop than it will on the road anyways. So why not just go ahead and get a Toyota or a Nissan? I mean, like, why even waste your money? You know it's going to be a huge money pit to get a Volkswagen at all. So just buy a Toyota or a Nissan. Easy. And coming in at number 1, we have the car that's probably the most deserving to be on this list. And, well, if you've ever heard of this car before, you already knew it was coming. It's going to be the Mazda RX8. And, really the only problem that there is with this car is that the engines will only last 80,000 miles, and then they just blow up. They just end. Rotaries are known for being very unreliable, but, the RX8 had such a terrible rotary motor that you couldn't even get more than 100,000 miles out of it in most cases. Now, if you did take extremely good care of it and you babied it around, it would last a little bit longer, maybe 120,000 miles. But for most cases, if you drove it like you should drive a sports car, I mean, all I can say is good luck, because it's not going to last more than 80,000 miles. And I mean, it's probably the most unreliable sports car made in the 21st century. It's just, the rotary engine mixed with, Mazda engineering was just not a great combo here. Now, while I was joking a little bit during this video, let's end it off on a serious note. Now, there are a lot of car guys that buy these cars and, they see these problems on the internet and they're like, oh, well, it won't be that bad. I can just, fix it. No, it gets extremely annoying after time, fixing these problems over and over and over and over again, because they just keep occurring if you keep putting in OEM parts. So, please try to stay away from these year models and cars if you can. But thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like, and if you did enjoy the video, please consider subscribing and following along for more videos like this one. But for now, this is Scion Life, signing out.